MovieWeb.com.
Darling, these chains of love won't set me free. Chains of love won't let me be. Try to get up in the morning, I just can't make it. You got the spell on me, and I just can't break it.
I was curious, was the visual element that we see on screen, was that in Ronald's script, or was that something that you put in there?
I think Ron Harwood wrote an excellent script. He wrote a script that had the POV as this main character. And the guy would blink. So I would say he wrote a good script. Did the script change as I worked on the movie? Yes. Would he know how to do what I did? No. Is that why they got me? Probably. There are things that are not in his script that just happen because I put myself in the hospital, in the situation, and it was essential to shoot the movie in Berck-sur-Mer, in France, in that hospital, because Jean Doe wrote about the architecture in the hospital. He wrote about that little ghost town that was on the left, and the buildings looking like a toy train set, and you know, the fact is that the tide went out 500 meters every day and came in, and I was looking at that stanchion, and sometimes it was submerged, and sometimes it was like right on the beach, and I said to Janos, I got to stick this guy in the wheelchair in the water, and you know, first of all, you could think, well, maybe I don't like the guy I'm taking care of, so I'm going to let's push him down the beach in his wheelchair and leave him there until the tide comes in. And then you think, okay, come on, get serious, stop messing around with your head. And I thought, well, no, that's not a bad idea. Actually, we can put him on this stanchion and we'll film that. And there was, in October, for some reason, there were flowers that filled this garden of a house that was given to one of the people that worked in the hospital in 1905. And this man, Dr. Menard, who owned that house, left it to his grandson. Now, the people haven't had the money to really take care of it, so it was like going to Miss Havisham's place. And it was only 100 meters from the hospital, and I had finished shooting 2 weeks early. I needed location, so we went to this house, and this garden was filled with these flowers, and so I could shoot the flowers in there. And there were these x-rays that had been stacked up from 1905 to 1911. I thought, wow, these are the credits. So, you know, I try to go to a place and react to what's happening all the time, and I didn't really know how I was going to shoot it until I was shooting it. But I knew one thing, that, and I had written this script for the book Perfume that was never used, but I thought that Jean-Baptiste Grenouille, the character in the Perfume, could smell all the way to Egypt or to Alaska, and there were things I had written into the script, and when I couldn't make that film, I was able to adapt those things and use them because I thought that Jean-Dominique Bauby could, with his imagination and memory, go anywhere that he wanted to go. So I got to put in whatever I wanted into the film, and that wasn't scripted.
The brilliance of seeing the world through his left eye, through the blinking eye, and the blurriness. How did you visualize that in your head and get that on film? How did you get into the mind of the paralyzed man? I mean, was it in the book? Was he describing what he was seeing?
No. I mean, he'd say things like, you know, a wan glow announces the break of day. I mean, you hear his words. Those are his words. He said things that were a real key for me. Like one thing he said is, swimming up from the mist of a coma, you don't have the luxury of having your dreams evaporate. And I thought, okay, that means that I could go from one sequence where he's remembering something to a sequence where he's talking about writing something to a sequence where he's having some kind of a dream sequence that's happening, and he doesn't have to return back to reality all the time, because what is reality? Reality is whatever is going on in this guy's head, because it's as if you were crippled from the waist down and you were moving around in a wheelchair. Your upper body mass would become stronger and you'd be using your arms all the time. This guy was using his brain all the time, and so his brain became his backyard, his landscape. And you know, I know a Rinpoche who can actually meditate in his dreams. Now, I can't do that, but he's been practicing a long time to do that, and to have that kind of... This movie is obviously is about consciousness, and what is it to be alive? You know, what is it? What is the soul? What is it to be? And you capture that in his POV, and even, you know, we don't ever, even though we show an objective set some moments throughout the film, we always go back to his POV, and when he dies, obviously, we go into his interior life. And when my father died, and his eyes were blinking like that, I thought, I want to see what my dad's seeing, not what I'm seeing. And I'd never seen that on film before, so, you know, I used what I came across in my life and tried to put it in the film.
A question about your choices. The 3 films that you've done have been really about these singular characters who've been through these tremendous upheavals, you know, literally their worlds being changed, whether you're Basquiat, whether you're Javier Bardem playing a brilliant role. And now here with John Doe, what was it particularly about this story? I mean, was it your father that grabbed you, or was it just the idea of being so visually expressive for someone who was immobile?
Well, I haven't made a movie for 7 years. And I was really just wanted to make Perfume. That's the only film I wanted to make. And when that didn't work out, I used to read to Fred Hughes, who worked for Andy Warhol. He had MS, and as he got sicker, he ended up in his room, in this bed in the middle of his living room, and he was like Miss Havisham. I mean, he was there, and he was staring out at me through his body, and I used to read to him, and his nurse, Darren, gave me this book, The Diving Bell and the Butterfly. I didn't look at it at first. I had the book for years. And then Laurie Anderson came over one day out in Montauk and read it and said, "It's great." And I said, "Well, give me that thing." And I read it, and I didn't know I was going to make a film about it. I thought I was going to make a film maybe about Fred. But everybody, you know, when it's somebody that you know, everybody gets very proprietary. And it was very complicated when I made the movie about Jean-Michel. And so my dad got sick, and he had prostate cancer, and he was... getting worse and worse, and I had to take the kids to Mexico for Christmas. So I thought, who can take care of him? And Darren was the only guy I knew that could do something like that. So Darren was in the room with my father, and the script of Diving Bell and the Butterfly arrives. And it was like, you know, how many times do I turn my back on this thing? And then having the Perfume thing fell apart, and I thought, wow, this is written kind of like this, and I can take these things and I can... You know, I remember my wife watching this documentary on him, which was extremely depressing. But I think he wanted people to know that he wrote that book by blinking his eye, and that's why Jean-Jacques Bennix made the documentary. And I think that was good for that reason. But my wife is sitting and looking at me, and she says, "This is so depressing. Oh, they're going to say that guy Schnabel, he makes a movie, everybody dies, and I got to live through this for..." I said, no, this is funny. This could be really funny, this movie, and I don't see it like that. And it's about something that's totally not like this. And so she said, okay, you know, and also you get to see her in the movie. She's the actress who's sticking her tongue out and showing him how to swallow. And the one who takes him to the church and says yes when he says no. So I think it's a very funny movie, and he had a great sense of humor. And the wonderful thing about him is that he did not have any self-pity. I mean, once he got rid of his self-pity, he was able to take off and do whatever he wanted.